Hey guys, welcome to today's video. So today we're going to be doing a first impressions on the Emily Wants and the Needs palette. The fact that she was able to collab with such a brand like Makeup Revolution. I love Makeup Revolution, but I do know that they do have some hits and misses. Their formula isn't as consistent as I would like it to be sometimes, depending on the palette that you get. So I'm curious to see how all this works. Now, when I do review this palette, I will go and say right off the bat, this has nothing to do with Emily. This is specifically about the palette itself. I'm not bashing Emily. I am specifically talking about the palette, the colors, everything like that. So don't come at me in the comments being like, well, you're bashing Emily. No, I'm not. And I personally really do like Emily. I have both eye and face primer on, and I do have my contour on. That is the only thing that I have. First, I'm going to start off with my bronzer, because that's normally what I start off with. So I'm just going to be taking this Wet n Wild little dragony kind of brush. I'm going to go into Courage right here. I do feel like this might be a little too warm, so we'll see how it is on my skin tone. Pan size were a little bit bigger, that way I can really fit where I want my brush in, but there is a little bit of kickback, not a big deal. I'm just gonna go, I like to put bronzer on my cheekbones. This is a side with the bronzer, this is a side without, and you can see, I mean, I feel like it's a little too dark. I like mine just a subtle sun-kissed glow. I can probably still get away with using it, honestly. I just feel like you can really see it on my skin tone, and I'm not used to that. I usually go in with the Physicians Formula bronzer, and that normally just looks like a nice little dust of bronze. So this is a little... So right here is a little pigmented than what I expected. I think the color is not fitting for everyone, honestly. I feel like not everyone can get away with wearing this, especially if you're more fair than me. I don't see it happening, but it could be used as an eyeshadow. Okay, so I feel like it kind of looks like I got a little bit of sunburnt, or it's just an off color for my skin tone. I don't think it's patchy at all. I just think the color is just very weird for my skin tone. Not a big fan of the color itself, but that's okay. Someone else can be in love with the color. That's fine. I'm going to be going into the blush shade, which is called Joy. Now, I don't normally wear these kinds of blushes, so this will be a new experience for me, but I'll just be popping in there. Okay, so I definitely see a difference between this side and this side. So I'm not sure what I think of the blush. I think it's a little too dark for my skin tone, or I went in a little too much. I'm going to just be taking a fluffy brush like this and just kind of going over it. So I'm going to be taking the highlighter shade Gratitude right there. I feel like this might be as well a little bit too dark. I really do like the highlight, but there is a lot of powder kicking up. It's a nice natural kind of highlight, and I really do like that. I feel like even though not everyone can enjoy it because they may like a more in your face kind of highlight, I do think it's flattering. I think it looks so stunning. It just looks like my skin's glowing. Don't think that it is a little too dark when I look forward into my mirror. I definitely just think I only see it when I turn my head. So I'm just going to take my finger and I'm just going to put a little bit into my nose, on my nose. Put a little bit on my nose and on the bridge of it. This is definitely a very subtle highlight, I will say that. It's still very flattering. I don't mind a very toned down highlight on days where I just want to look glowy and natural. It's very scratchy in the pan or just very textured. This is a face right now. It's okay. It's, you know, it's nothing great. It's not bad. It's nothing great. It's nothing bad. It's just kind of middle road for right now. The highlight though, I'm kind of really loving it. I just think it looks so natural and so glowy. It's not chunky. It's not anything like that. It just looks so subtle and so pretty and so natural. It looks like my skin is just glowing. So I'm just going to take my finger and set my whole entire lid with Kindness, which is just a plain kind of bone kind of color. It does feel really creamy on the finger. Into the shade Peace right here, which is kind of like a flesh tone kind of type of color. It will definitely be a good transition shade for me. There's a lot that came off on my brush, and there is also a lot in the actual palette as well. I like it as a nice transition shade. It just adds a little bit of color to it without being too much. So the packaging, I'm not a big fan of this kind of color. I don't think it would flatter me in any way, shape, or form. I do like how it has this kind of coppery rose gold. So this is what the palette looks like. You get a huge mirror. I'm just going to set this right in front of me. I'm going to take Hobby on the same brush right here and just put that into my crease. And there is some kickback when you go into it. Okay, so I do think that color went on pretty nicely. I don't see any sort of patchiness. I was trying to get up really close when I was blending and just see what was going on while I was blending, and I don't notice anything so far. We go into Prayer right here, which is the shade next to it, that color right there. So far, I'm not noticing any trouble with that either. Top Story right here, which is that gold shade. I'm going to take that on my finger and put that all over my lid. That is what it looks like. There's no fallout with it, so I'm pretty impressed about that. It's more of a copper shade on my skin tone than it looks like in the palette, which was kind of a disappointment for me, but that's okay. So this is what we have so far. I'm probably going to add something to the middle of my eye to kind of give it a light effect. I go and add Oh Heavens in the middle of my eye. It's a pretty champagne color. It definitely lights up my eyes. Which is this one right here, to Oh Heavens. I definitely noticed a texture difference. Oh Heavens is definitely a crumbly, kind of chunky feeling. It still went on the eye very nicely, so don't let that discourage you, but Oh Heavens just felt very silky and smooth. So I'm going to be taking this Essence brush, and I'm going to be using this tip right here, and I'm actually going to be going into Corduroy right here, which is a teal color, or a green, I'm not sure, it's something like that. I'm just going to be dipping into it. I'm just going to put that underneath my lash line. So that definitely wasn't as pigmented as I expected. That was kind of a letdown, just a little bit, because it just looks like a very washed version of it. I don't like that. I'm going to go into the shade Oh Heavens again and go and put that on the inner corner of my eye. I mean, it looks nice. I mean, everything looks nice. I'm just really let down by that green shade. So overall, with this palette, I'm gonna have to test it out some more. The one thing that I really don't understand is the color story. I don't get it. When I look at this, I don't see myself just bringing this palette. I mean, I see myself picking maybe one shade from here and maybe like that shade. Or maybe picking that shade and just leaving it at that. I never see myself using Grateful. I never see myself using Side Hustle. I really don't see myself using Belle Violet or Family. I think that's about it. I don't see myself using those colors. Maybe very sparingly use Corduroy and Dark and Early, but the color story, in my opinion, is just very weird. I don't understand it. I mean, I'm sure there's a meaning behind it. I didn't watch the reveal video. I just saw the after effect of the palette. I'm on the fence about it. I don't know what I think, really, in all honesty. The formula, it just feels like a traditional Makeup Revolution formula. I do think that bronzy shade was kind of chunky feeling, and the light color that I have in my inner corner definitely felt a lot different, which I was kind of surprised about. I thought they'd feel like all the same. For both palettes, I'm just gonna have to go and test out some more. I really don't know what I think. The Wants palette is just a weird color story. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I can't see myself alone using this palette. I feel like I'd have to put in other palettes, and I also see myself, if I want one color out of it, I'd just be using one color. I don't think I'd be just taking this palette somewhere with me. Even if the formula is great and wonderful, it wouldn't matter as long, you know. The teal color pretty much disappointed me. It didn't come out as pigmented as I wanted on my lower lash line. I thought it'd be like papoom, like as in the pan, and it wasn't. A little let down about that, but that's okay. The Needs palette, I think the bronzer was a little bit too dark for my liking. The blush looked okay. The color might have been a little too dark for my skin tone. I can try and make it work, hopefully, but the highlight is wonderful. I like how it's just like a little bit of luminosity, nothing too gray, nothing too in your face. I think it was like the perfect highlight to make it look just like you're glowing from within. Honestly, I wish the pan sizes were a little bit bigger. That would have been really nice, but, you know. So I'm going to give you a close-up of my eye look so you guys can see. It's like not that pigmented, the teal. But everything blended out fine. I mean, I didn't really have any issues. And there's no fallout underneath here, which is very surprising. So that is it, you guys. I hope you do enjoy this. Please be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification button, and stay tuned for my future video. Bye, guys.